Knicks family, what's poppin'? It is your boy. And I'm here for a special edition of Knicks Weekly because I wasn't able to get on and do it all week long. So we're doing it here on Sunday today. I got my man Andy up here in the chat. And we're just going to break down, talk about this Tom Thibodeau conference, but this Tom Thibodeau interview or whatever it was, introduction. Talk about that a little bit. Then we're going to break down how do you think he's going to use certain players. As a matter of fact, this is going to be an introduction to a week, maybe 2 week long set of episodes where I break down certain players and how Tom Thibodeau might use those players. So today's just the introduction. We're going to talk about it just a little bit. All right. So let me get my man over here and we can get this thing popping, man. Andy, what's going on with you, brother? How you feeling?
Yo, what's up, guys? Happy to be back. I was on a short vacation, 4 days away from home. I just made it to home, so I'm really happy I can join in.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Oh, going any place nice?
Yeah, it's a long story, man. But my father-in-law probably he's in the Secretariat Nation now, and the life before he was a Butler. So now we're visiting castles all around Poland. So he has to take me around to translate stuff abroad, and we're basically traveling together around Poland.
You said visiting castles.
Yeah, like this biggest 5-star hotels and stuff like that. So.
Okay. All right. That's what's up, man. So tell me, man. I know you saw the introduction press conference, right? Introductory press conference. What'd you take from it? Anything? Did you take anything from it? I mean, I feel like most of the stuff that was said in the first of all, when it began, they read everything off of cue cards, or not cue cards, but they had everything written down, all the introductions written down, and you could see them looking dead at it, reading it, and you could tell that they were reading it line for line. All right, that's cool. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be like that sometimes. But I didn't hear anything that, for me, that was like, oh, snap, oh, wow, he's going to do this, he's going to do that. Seemed pretty much run of the mill. What do you think, Andy?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't hear any, let's call it open questions, right, to Thibs. They didn't ask him to name players or stuff like that. There was also a second interview, I don't know if you saw it, with Thibodeau on the MSG. He had just one-on-one and our as the pillars of the Knicks, and he said, yeah, both guys are talented and stuff like that. But they didn't ask him ever a question to name a player which he is, wanting to join and have workouts and stuff like that. Only thing, that maybe stood out, that he said that they are going to look for mainly guys as assistant coaches to be developmental coaches. I was thinking he might, go the route like always, we're looking to win now and stuff like that. They made it clear that they are looking for the developmental staff. Right. I wonder what's going to happen now, if it's going to be only Woody, Miller, and we're going to see who's going to be the next, assistant coaches, and how many of those guys he's going to want to, have. Because as a developmental staff, I would see him having more than 4 assistant coaches. Maybe they're not going to be listed as assistant coaches, because I think the NBA has a limit of those guys on the bench. Mm-hmm. But I think he's going to have, secondary assistant coaches and stuff like that at home when they can work out with the players.
Yeah, and, they did ask him about the assistant coaches, and, for the most part, he was kind of mum. Everybody was kind of mum. He was asked whether or not he was going to have full autonomy to choose his assistant coaches. And, it sounds like it's going to be a team effort. They're all going to sit down. He's going to have some of his guys. They're going to have some people that they like, and they may have some people that are on the list together, or have some of the same people on the list, and then they'll choose. which I guess that's the way it probably should be.
True.
That makes sense. That they would sit down together and have that discussion. Although Tom Thibodeau, I think, should have the final say on who his assistant coaches are.
I agree.
So we'll see how that works out. I guess we'll find out in the coming weeks, who the assistant coaches are. It sounds like, reports have it that Mike Woodson is going to be one of the assistant coaches or be with the New York Knicks in some manner, and probably Mike Miller. So I guess we'll see exactly how that works out. Yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty positive though that they'll choose. Along with Tom Thibodeau, I'm positive that Tom Thibodeau is going to choose a competent staff. And,
I just, you know what? I'm just wondering if he's gonna go with, former player assistant coach. Like we had Royal Ivy now, we had, Herb Williams, before, and if he's gonna try to look for a guy that was playing in the NBA and like in recent years he just retired. I'm curious if he's gonna want a guy, with the age thing and with the pure NBA experience. I wonder if he's gonna pick at least one of those guys.
Right. And, I think he might, but I also, from what I understood or from the interview, is that, he may choose some players like a Taj Gibson that can kind of be like a player coach. You know what I mean? Nate, what do you think? And, I'm trying to get Mark in there, but Mark is doing all kinds of whatever he's doing. You eating and then doing this and then doing that. Every time I unmute him, he starts making all kinds of weird sounds. So I don't know. Nate, what did you take from the conference, man? Can't hear Nate either. Can't hear you, Nate. You're like breaking up big time, Nate. You're breaking up big time.
I took away is first and foremost, I feel that.
I said you're breaking up big time. I don't know.
Can you hear me
now? Barely.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, barely. It's breaking up big time. Mark,
come back to me.
Mark,
yo,
talk to me, man.
Can you hear me now, Sim?
The press conference, Mark. Talk to me about the press conference.
Yeah.
Well, you really couldn't take anything from it because, for me, because it's like when you're doing interviews like that over the Zoom thing, and plus they had cue cards.
Yeah, I know. I mean, for the introductions, they had cue cards.
Oh well,
for the introduction. I mean, they obviously when the reporters asked them questions, they couldn't have cue cards then. But it was kind of weird that they had cue cards because they should have been able to rattle some of that stuff off.
Come on.
I don't know.
Anybody could have memorized what his accomplishments. It ain't that hard. But in my case, listen, I already know what he's about, what he potentially can do for us. I like that he did kind of mention RJ and Mitchell Robinson as talented players, but I also think he's looking for or to bring in, someone significant, like someone that can allow these young guys to like develop also, but notch the pressure down because, like I said, he's going to have time to develop. They're in development stages, both of them still. So I think when Tom, and I'm glad to hear Woody, I hope he's assistant coach. I just hope he's assistant coach. Once I heard that, I was off the wall happy. But with Tom, he's excited. He has to be excited. And I don't think it's a great time to really elaborate on what he really want to say or how he want to do things. I think they're going to, clutch back on that due to the fact that his name has just been murdered. I don't know what reason, but, some reasons, but the way the media slander him like he's some third third string coach or something like that, which I just can't get. I just can't get. But other than that, the interview was just half-assed for me. It was just, it didn't hold no weight to me. It's just, regular, what do you say, procedure, I would say. Regular procedure through that.
Basically.
Yeah.
Basically.
But Sam, you remember how we was talking about, Towns and Wiggins, had a problem with him? Let's backtrack. Your man Steve Kerr was talking to Wiggins. Oh, so
I read that about Steve Kerr, talking about well, he didn't say anything about Towns. He was talking about Wiggins. He was talking about Wiggins. He said that because obviously Andrew Wiggins went to Golden State, so he was talking about how Wiggins said that
it wasn't Thibs.
That he liked Thibs. That Thibs was one of his favorite coaches. This, that, and the third.
Wow, we already know who's the culprit, but other than that, it's a good. I was hoping he was coming on during the weekend, but Sunday's the best. Everybody's chill.
Well,
so
I had a few things going on at at the crib.
I already know, but
things.
It is what it is. I'm surprised you didn't see the article that also came out today about the Knicks, man. It's to a point, man. We can never win. We can never win.
So what came out today? What article came out?
Well, continue on what you want to do. I'm going to send you the article so you can pull it up on the screen because it's just.
What is it? Just tell me what it is.
So it's about Tim. It's about Tim Hardaway father coming out talking about. The past tense of Tim Hardaway being traded from us. Why did he say he was the guy that the Dallas wanted? Dallas wanted him compared to the 7-footer. The 7-footer was giving away.
Never mind. We're not gonna. I don't want. Never mind. I'm not trying to go back and start talking about KP right now.
No, I'm just speaking on just how dumb the Knicks are. That's all. I wasn't trying to bring up his name. You see how tentative I was. Listen, this is the Knicks, and you report everything on the Knicks, and this is just in a report by a reporter that talked to the father of a following Knick. I just wanted to put out evidence there. Sorry if that was a problem.
I don't know what evidence is that. Evidence of what?
I'm just saying how just stupid this organization is. It's just so hard to
hopefully we're on to a new era. You know what I mean? Let's just hope that we're on to a new era with
but that stench is still on us though, big time.
It's always going to be. Every time we turn over to a new regime, the stench is on us. You know what I mean? Every single time.
Somebody said, as much as I love Tom Thibodeau, but God damn, we can't keep a coach more than a half of a year. How can I be happy?
You know what? But check this though. But check it though. I think it's going to be different this time.
Yeah.
Because of the relationship between Tom Thibodeau and Leon Rose. The front office
and the coach. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what I said. Because most of those things like that always work out when the top and the bottom can come together and do what they do. But let's continue this show.
So I don't think it's going to be a quick hook for Tom Thibodeau like it might have been for somebody else because of that relationship.
It's just pure sarcasm that
unless Tom Thibodeau would just totally craps the bed.
Listen,
if he just straight up craps the bed, then you have no choice. But I don't think that's going to be the case.
Nah.
I don't think that's going to be the case.
Him crapping the bed, that has to be like what Fizdale looked like. If he crapped the bed like Fizdale, bro, and I don't even want to say Fizdale really crapped the bed due to certain circumstances as I was applying a couple of months ago. But other than that, man, I'm just tentative about this team and just like, man, can we just get to a point of identity and I'll be fine. Right now, I'm just on a rocker now.
But let me ask you guys this. What are the chances? And I don't know what the contract looks like or anything like that. I'm just asking questions. What are the chances that Jimmy Butler becomes a Knick now that Tom Thibodeau is here?
Nah, I doubt it. He liked Miami. He wanted to go there. I doubt it. he's playing with a bunch of guys that matches his personality, and then it's like he don't have to worry about these young kids wanting to get good, and that was his problem in the Wolves. I don't think Jimmy's gonna stay there.
Okay, well, guess what? He signed a 4-year contract that expires in 2023 for $37 million. So yeah, he'll be in Miami. So
yeah, he'll be in Miami. That's just a perfect fit because when you watch him, man, boy, I'm telling you, it's gonna be the young legs that's gonna take out one of these old teams, man. I'm telling you.
But he loves Tom Thibodeau, and sometimes players want to follow the.
Yeah, but
sometimes players like to do that.
I would say if we'd had Tim before he went to Miami, I think there was a big chance. But now I think he found his home.
That's true.
I think he found players that appreciate him and he could appreciate play. Because when he was in Timberwolves, he was just talking about players' work ethic. I'm telling y'all, he don't like what Capella did to Karl Towns, and that still sticks with me to this day about that kid. What Capella did to Towns in the playoffs. Jimmy Butler was like, "Nah, I can't play with this kid because."
I read the article a little bit. He accepts whatever role he had, too. You know what I'm saying? He knows he had some role in whatever went down there as well. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it's enough blame in every organization, any failed team. There's enough blame to go around for everybody.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
My man, when we have Jimmy on the wallpaper, ESPN has a quote of Jimmy saying about Thibs. He's going to turn those young guns into some real players, some superstars, some all-stars.
Yeah,
so
right.
Already asked Jimmy about Thibs. So
right, exactly. They already asked him about it, they already asked him about it. Light, what's going on, man?
What's good with you, man?
I'm good. I feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lazy Sunday.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's been a hard past couple of weeks for me personally, so that's why I ain't made an appearance because I can't get away from my desk at work long enough to do anything extracurricular.
Hey, I understand, bro. I understand. So what's your take on that press conference, man? Did you watch it?
Yeah, absolutely, of course. It was a formality. It was something they had to do, and given the way things are now with coronavirus and how things got to be, that's why we got what we got. I heard everybody commenting on them reading off their little dissertations at the beginning, but that I think that was more of a convenience factor. Everybody's sitting there and they say, these are the things that they would write down ahead of time at a press conference, but you can't walk up there with a sheet of paper at a press conference.
True.
But when you're sitting down at your desk at the Zoom meeting, you're like, hey, I'm going to put this right here and I'm just going to read it.
Right.
So that's what you got there. And I think the most telling thing that came out of it all was a few things that were said about being willing to send people to the G League. I know everybody's seen the report about wanting to send guys to the G League.
Man.
And then see, but you know what? I don't agree with everyone being upset that he did not want to send these guys to the G League. I don't really feel like Kevin Knox, because they named the players that they were talking about. They were talking about sending Kevin Knox, Frank Ntilikina, and Dennis Smith Jr. down. And I'm sorry, when you look at Dennis Smith Jr. and his rookie season and what he was doing, he already proved that he needs to be at the NBA level. Kevin Knox already proved that he has skills that need him to be at the NBA level. And I think taking a small sliver of a conversation and blasting it across the internet and acting like you're giving an informed opinion. He said that those three guys don't need to be in the G League. He didn't say he was adverse to sending players to the G League. He didn't want to send those three to the G League. And we don't know the rest of that argument. Did he say, I don't want them to go to the G League because I think they need to get minutes here at the NBA level? We don't know. And I think it's really short-sighted for everyone to jump up and down and act like, oh, see, he was holding them back. If anything, they should have been jettisoning these older guys so that these young guys could get out there and play at the NBA level to hone their skills. G League Frank, like you said before, Sim, G League Frank would be the same as NBA Frank because Frank plays within his own parameters. And that wouldn't change no matter where you put him. That's why he needs to be at the NBA level because
he don't like confidence. I would say like a guy like Knox would definitely be okay in I would put him in the G League for some time. Not for a time, but just for confidence purposes.
That would hurt his confidence more than it would help it. Think about how that would mess with you mentally if you reach a level and then you get demoted. If you're at your job and they promote you to assistant manager and you do the job for a month and then they say, you're doing okay, but we think you could do better. We're going to put you back down to an hourly employee so you could prove yourself. You think that's
but hold on. His confidence was already hurt by not even getting the minutes that he was getting prior. So what would make the difference?
But that's my point. If he's already losing his minutes, and then you send him to the G League, he went from starting. That means he went from starting, getting almost 30+ minutes a night, to being a bench player, getting less than 20 minutes a night, all the way back down to the G League. That's knock to your. That's a knock to your ego, a knock to your ego, another knock to your ego. He would have ended up in the G League and out the league.
Well, listen. He's number one. A knock to his ego. I would understand if he was like some, consistent, like rotational piece of some time. He yet has proven himself to an extent where you trust him. You trust him on the floor for a amount of time. So I just think it's not. I don't think for him, I would just put him there from time to time, or even just to prove certain things as a confidence. For me, it's just confidence with him and his motor. And I would think the G League would be great for him because with the G League, he would be more of the vocal guy. So if he went down in the G League and the coach would have used him more of a vocal guy because he's that talented, and he'd went down there and developed so much of a confidence to say, yo, I can really, play on the NBA level and come back and then have a chance to show himself. I think that could also happen. I'm not saying, it could have been an ego hit to him, but it could also help him.
You know what, Mark? I mean, I thought that he could have played some minutes in the G League.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I don't know if he would have went. If you were going to send him down there to be a vocal guy, I don't care if he's. I don't care if he's in the G League or the NBA. Yeah. He's not going to go be a vocal guy. He's 19 years old, and even in the G League, they got guys that's 28, 25, 27.
I mean, offensively, not a vocal guy speaking. I mean, offensively, because if he'd have went down to the G League, he would have been the most talented player on their roster, and they would have used him. They would have used him how most Knicks fans see him when we drafted him. Like you could run an offense to him. And I think if he'd have went to the G League, and they would have gave him that responsibility. Like, yeah, take the ball. Let's see what you can do. Not vocal and running the team, but vocal point in the offense, and that would have helped him come back to the NBA and say, "Yo, I have enough confidence to do this on the floor if my motor is correct."
The only thing is, I still don't know if it would have made him, say, I have enough confidence to do this. For him to go and get some reps. Yeah, I still don't know, but look,
show me his reps. Yeah,
I mean, but the thing is, he was still getting between 12 and 20 minutes a game, so it's not like he wasn't getting any reps. Now, if he was getting no reps at all, that's one thing, but he was still getting 12 to 20 minutes per game. You know what I'm saying?
But you know what it is too? He was getting pulled out in a lot of like games that we would have close and stuff like that. It's just things like that where I think young players like him that's not focused. Is his focus that's not there enough? I would put him down there just for his focus. His game is he has NBA. He can play in the NBA. You can show that he can play in the NBA. But I think it's more about his focus, man. His focus always been my problem.
Always. Andy, what's going on, man?
Yeah, about the G League thing. Do you guys think that all of the players that Knicks or whatever teams are gonna send to the G League, that it's a better thing if they make a process there, like stay there a week, 2 or 3, or just okay, we're in New York, the Westchester Knicks are playing home, just let's plug them in for a game and take them back? You guys think that's really that much of experience in that one G League game when you just get thrown out to let's say not no-name players, right? Just the guys that you never played with? Mm-hmm. It's like a pickup game for those guys, right? They know the system maybe, but it's like you come to the gym for the first time and they're gonna make a focal point of the offense of you, right? With dogs. You think that's gonna help them that much? Because I think you need a longer stint in the G League to make that progress you're going to expand in the NBA. I don't think it's like a one-night stand in the G League and you're going to be developed.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And that's where, because he was getting 10, 12, he was getting 12 to 20 minutes a game. I mean, he's playing, so he's getting you know, when you have a player that's getting no reps at all, just like sitting at the end of the bench, not playing at all, then you say, you know what, this guy needs to play. You know what I'm saying? Now, then it's like, you know, send this guy down there and just let him play. Like Iggy, right? Iggy was, you know, Iggy was part of the team, but they sent him down there to play because he wasn't getting any reps whatsoever.
Yeah, any minutes.
And
you know what?
like,
I would rather use the G League like to ease guys in after injuries, right? Like with Frank, he had that groin injury. Okay, let him recover with the Westchester Knicks. You know, get him, you know, make him play 1-2 games there. Not major minutes, just, you know, ease him in and then put him in the, you know, in the big league. Because that you know, that's a easier, you know, competition and stuff like that. That might help him a little bit better than just, you know,
get warmed up.
You know, put him on for a one-night stand.
It's just for me, we've had a lot of guys go down to the G League. Trey Burke was down to the G League dominating. He was dropping 20-something points a night. He was looking like the next coming or something. We bring him up. He played a few nice games, but is Trey Burke doing anything close to what he was doing in the G League? Nah, not really.
Yo, last night he had over 30, I think.
Yeah, they cooked.
Yeah, well, you know, every dog has a day, but either way, my point being that, you know, you can go. We can send Kevin Knox to the G League. He average 40 points a night. He's still going to.
Yeah, I would love to see that.
But then when you bring him to the NBA, it's going to be the same. He's going to be the same player. His skills not going to change just because he went down a grade and was able to dominate dudes who we already understand to be less talented. Or less skilled. That's why they're in the G League. And I just don't see how going down a grade helps build any confidence in somebody who is already at a higher level. You can't backslide. If I'm playing 2K on Superstar, I don't get frustrated and bring it back down to rookie and think it's going to make me better. It's not going to make me better. I got to keep playing that Superstar so that I can become Superstar.
So let me ask you a question. What if your back is to the wall, like in Knox's case, right? So this year will be a telling year for him, right? Because I always say when you're drafting a young player, right? And I always say it would take you 3 to 4 years, and in those 3 to 4 years, the player is either going to be an all-star type level player, or can ascend to the superstar. With Knox right now, he is like back. Like for me, he's kind of like back at square one with a lot of these guys from a standpoint, because again, they haven't had the right process. So it's like we're starting all over again. So with him, this year, for him, he's going to have to be so consistent to a point. He has to be consistent where to a point he can stay on the floor in close games, because, like I said, he's tall enough to defend, he's tall enough to score, and he has the ability to score. So this year is a telling all in his third year. And like I said, if his focus changed for me, I would look at him as a total different player. I don't care about his offense. It's more of his focus, because once you get a point guard for this dude, I believe, and play with pace, I believe this dude could do things that you want your wings to do off ball: shoot, run the floor, create space. He has a great first step, take the ball, first step to the basket. I think he got all those too. But if his focus do not change for me, it's either we're going to have to trade him or he's going to become a bench player. He ain't going to be a starter in this league. Those are two things. That's just one thing for me. His focus don't change into where he could be able to be a fourth quarter player due to his skill set. Then, you know, it's going to be a problem.
I mean,
it's going to be a problem.
I agree with all of that, but
it's going to be a problem.
You could replace Kevin Knox's name with just about 8 out of all the players on our team, and all of those things apply to them too. Our entire team is kind of in that position outside of Mitch and RJ, who are just
Listen, you know why you can't. I would put Frank in there because I know he could do one thing well. If you put him in a structured team, and you tell him, like, listen, you're going to be the off guard and you're going to defend these guys, and he could do that at a very, very high level. But due to the fact that we have so many coaches,
you would make Frank the off guard.
He's been an off guard. He always, from coming in the draft, he was an off guard. I never looked at him as a cerebral guard to handle your ball. To handle your ball 78% of your time. He was more of an off guard to me because of his playmaking ability and his defensive prowess. It's the same thing with Marcus Smart when he came in. People think that his offense was as good as it is now. But the team believed in him, put him in a scheme, He became Boston's defense, heart and soul of it. And I think that's what Frank could do because he showed you in high-level FIBA games. So it's not like it ain't there. It's the fact that the Knicks are so fractured that it makes him look so bad.
You just nailed what it is in the middle of what you were saying.
Yeah.
You said with Marcus Smart, the team believed in him. They trusted him. They put the ball in his hands. That's something that the Knicks have not done with any of our players. We have not shown that we believe, trust, are willing to commit to anyone. And that's the true problem. And that's why for as much as I think the Thibodeau hiring is okay, you know what I'm saying? For me, it's really about who ends up being the assistants. That's what's going to tell me what direction he's trying to take.
But I'm going to tell you something, like, though. Let me tell you something. If those three, RJ and Mitch and Frank, even what they showed you, the dedication that they have for the game when they come on the floor, those are the type of players Tim said, okay, I'm going to use you in a way, but if you're consistent, he's going to play them. That's what he's strictly about when he coached. If you're consistent enough, because he did that with Jimmy Butler, and you go look at those few seasons before he became Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler played. He played hard. He played him in the defensive scheme. And he said, you know what? I'm going to go with you from now on. Now on until we get Derrick Rose back. And this way he tortured. So if you could come in with the level of focus that he wants you to play, because like I said, he's going to implement a system where he's going to put you in position, and he's going to give you responsibility. That's one thing I like about him. He's going to give you responsibility that you can handle. And whatever roster you give him, it's not one roster he had and it did not work. He had every roster and he used them to what their skill is. So in the Knicks case, we have RJ, we have Mitch, and we have Frank all on the defensive line. I think those guys are NBA level defenders. So I think he's gonna have RJ and Mitch more of the vocal point because they're the young guy with the most talent on the team. He's gonna use Frank more of a Jimmy Butler. And Tim, I can't wait till you do a video on his coaching, because remember when I said he's gonna have a play where it's always gonna leave a person that can't shoot open every time in the corners. So he's gonna have plays for Frank, even for RJ, those open left corners, so they can develop their game. So I think
so let's, because I'm beginning a series where we break down how he might use certain players. We'll look at some
underrated,
film,
man.
right? We're gonna look at some film on how he used players in the past, and then we're gonna compare them to some of the players that we have now, and talk about how he may use them in a similar fashion or a dissimilar fashion or whatever it is, right? So, and we're gonna start with RJ and Mitch, right? So, talk to me specifically. Let me try to get to Nate before I get to this. So, I'll give you a chance to think about it, then I'll get to Nate. But I want you to talk to me specifically how you think he's gonna use RJ Barrett. All right, so this is just like a precursor, because we're going to do some things with film and break down film, but this is just a precursor, a preview, a conversation to start with, how you think he'll use RJ Barrett, how you think he'll use Mitchell Robinson, in what ways. All right, so let me get to Nate, because I know Nate didn't get a chance to get in because he was having some connection issues, and then we'll get back to it. All right, Nate, I got you. Go ahead and unmute yourself. What's up, man? You got a lot of noise in the background. That's why I got to keep you muted, man.
Yeah, I know, man. I'm sorry. I'm on the highway. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry, man. I was in God's country outside. So you want me to just give my thoughts on Thibodeau on the interview?
Well, I mean, we kind of went over that. Maybe you can, just talk to us a little bit about how you think, start off the conversation, how you think he's going to use RJ Barrett.
Okay, so RJ Barrett, I could see him trying to use him more in the post because of his size. I think, he's a bigger guard and he can't really shoot right now. So I would hope that Thibodeau's going to probably use him in the post to post up the smaller guards. You said Mitch too, right?
Mitch too, right?
Mitch, yeah. So Mitch is kind of the same way that RJ is. I mean, Mitch can't. I mean, we haven't really seen him shoot. He doesn't really want to shoot right now. I would still hope that he encourages them to shoot. But for right now, I would just say, hey, play DeAndre Jordan role. Play the rim, rebound the ball, shot block, be smart with your fouls, but just be a force in the paint. He did say one thing in the press conference about the paint, and I don't know if it was protecting the paint or scoring in the paint, but he mentioned one of those aspects of what he wants to do for this team. And I think it's going to start with Mitch. He's going to make him the rim protector, so at least you have that last line of defense in case something happens. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right. And it sounds like the noise kind of calmed down in the back, so hopefully I can leave you unmuted. Mark, what do you think? Start with RJ.
Again, like I said from the season beginning, you let RJ play from inside out. So you take his strength, because this guy can get to the line easy 6-8 times on a nightly basis because he's just a bully ball. So you want to play him inside out. So most of his shots is going to come from plays developed from Tom Thibodeau, where he's going to have a lot of open 3-point shots. Like he would use Dame. He would use like the way he used Dame on the offense shooting. I think he's going to use RJ like that for him to develop a shot. But he has to play inside out because when he has to play a lot of downhill because you have to keep him moving. You have to keep him moving. You have to keep him coming off curls and stuff like that. You could use him coming off the ball and stuff like that, getting the ball in action. He has to be continue moving on the floor. With Mitch, he's going to use a lot of ice defense. And because Mitch can move his feet and guard the perimeter, he's fast enough to protect the paint to an extent. So because the Knicks have some low-key off-the-ball type of players, like I would say Knox, the offense is going to be played a lot like how he used Joakim Noah. So if he's going to use RJ in that motion where it's going to be like similar to the triangle, but it's not. It's going to be a lot of off-ball movement and a lot of player aware. So that's what he's going to do. It's going to be a lot of movement because if you look back at the Bulls team, it was a lot of movements and a lot of cuts. And with this young team, we have a lot of players that want to move that can move without the ball. And that can make, I'll say RJ can make those passes. I think Mitch can make those passes, but you have to also kind of make him into an offensive threat of some sort. And I think when time comes, I think he's going to allow Mitch to shoot, but he's going to make him more into a defender first. He's going to mold that first. Whatever that player's strength, he's going to mold that first. And then whatever happens from that player is going to develop. The confidence, whatever that player has from being molded into that type of player, I think it's going to continue from there. And that player is going to develop and know that he can do this on the floor. It's just about consistency, about the consistency that he sees some of these players have. But I think we have a lot of off-ball movement players in the young ones.
Right.
Now, so I think there's going to be a lot of motion cuts.
Let me ask this question, sticking with, with Mitch. We'll get back to RJ. Thibodeau's had a lot of big guys that can post, that can shoot the mid-range, that can pass from the high post, right? Pass from the low post. Mitch isn't one of those guys, at least right now, right? Do you think do you think he'll, I wouldn't expect it to happen this season, of course, but do you think he'll try to maybe develop Mitch in that way? Try to get him to shoot more from the mid-range, learn a post-up game and those type of things, because that's kind of what he does and what he's used to. Talk about Thibs.
Absolutely. I don't think that he strays away from that. I think, like they said, Thibodeau is a student of the game as much as he is a teacher. And I'm sure that he has seen all these little clips that we see, and we salivate over him in the gym dribbling and all of that. And we can say what we want about it being lesser competition. It's not about the competition. It's about what he shows he can do in terms of handling the ball and having the ball in his hands. And I firmly believe that Thibodeau sees that and says, okay, well, if he can do all these weird little dribbles, then he can definitely pick the ball up, hold it over his head, and kick it over. Now, a lot of our plays already had Mitch at the high shoulder with the ball in his hand doing handoff stuff. All they got to do is add another layer to that. So I feel like Mitch is in a good position to start to learn and pick up on
quick emotions too. Like it's quick emotions.
Right.
Knicks,
right.
Yeah, Knicks was not running on quick motions. Quick motion.
this is the reason why I firmly believe that Taj is going to end up being our new Lance Thomas, because he's going to lean on Taj to help impart those concepts to Mitch, as well as Julius Randle, if he ends up staying with us, if we don't do anything to move. I know, Mark, it's okay, but you know what I'm saying? It's not far flung to see him take a guy like Julius Randle, who we've been basically written off, and correct the things that need to be corrected. I think Thibodeau is savvy enough and been around the league long enough to understand where these players are at in their progression and how to put them in the mold that he wants. So yes, I do believe we're going to see Mitch playing the Joakim Noah role, and I don't find it. I don't think it's lost that Noah used to play there. Like, don't think that they haven't talked about what happened in Chicago and how things went when he was playing under Thibs. I guarantee these conversations have come up. Right. So, and as far as RJ is concerned, I firmly believe RJ is going to have more of a point forward kind of role. I wouldn't be surprised, depending on who we get in free agency and through the draft, if RJ doesn't end up playing a lot of small forward and being a drive threat with some guys parked around him for him to swing it out to, because he's shown he has a propensity for some slick passing when he gets into the paint. So I think that's the case.
Yeah, and that's the thing with, like you would talk about with Julius Randle. He's shown that he can pass the ball, right? Yeah. You know, we've seen him make, you know, some good passes to guys who are cutting. His mid-range is, you know, mid-range shot. I don't know how much he even took the mid-range. He was either trying to bull his way to the basket or shooting that 28% three.
The turnover, right? The spinner Rooney.
But you know, if you're catching him you might be able to catch him at the high post. You know, if you start to use him in that way and see if he can find some guys cutting to the basket and passing to guys cutting to the basket. Thibs might, you know, like you said, I think he's known he had this job for a while. Right, and the Knicks had to go through semantics, you know, to interview guys and this and that and whatever. But I think he's known he had it for a while, and he was looking at videotape, watching the team, breaking it down, starting his job early.
I think ever since they started conversation with Leon Rose, Thibodeau knew he was coming to New York.
Yep.
You know what, too, Sam? Yep. You know what, too? You know what? I'm not even on Julius Randle back anymore, because, like I said, if he's not going to play a team game prior to what we seen, to where he is just like second, third nature to him to pass the ball and can't read double teams, I just think that Thibs is just going to expose him for the type of player that he is. Just simple as that. So listen,
you know what? I don't think that Thibs is that kind of guy, where he's going to be like, I'm going to try to embarrass him to show his faults. I don't think he's going to do that.
No, not embarrass him, like, definitively. I mean, if he puts his scheme and then we see it work with these set of guys, and when he comes on the floor and it just does not look, or he just do not make the plays when it's developing, and he's making all these late passes or still running into double teams, oh God, it's a montage of them. But like I said, stuff like that, and that's going to give us reasons like, yeah, this guy got to go, because he's not following the concept of this team. If he don't follow the concept of this team, it's going to be a problem. Period.
I think the one thing you have to look at is, I think you got to look at, I mean, and not just with him, with everybody that was on the team. You really got to look at David Fisdale a lot, because he didn't, you know, he wasn't the kind of guy that was putting his foot down. I mean, you know, and people. Like people laugh at that, right? But you got to understand, when you start a team and you start in training camp, right? When you're in training camp, that's when you build your habits. That's when you build the standards of the team. That's when you build certain things. And if you, like, for example, if you start training camp and you say, Kevin Knox, you're going to be my point forward, right?
Exactly.
I'm going to let you bring the ball up. I'm going to let you do this and do that. Well, you know what? You set a tone for that season. You know, and you can laugh at that and things, but when you set that kind, no, hold up. When you set that kind of a tone, that's the tone that you have all season. And it's hard to break that mid-season, because that's what you worked on. That's what you've been doing. When you start a training camp and you say, okay, this is what we are going to do. Here is our standards. This is where I want you with the ball. You build those habits, right? Because anytime there's a new player on the team, It's an entirely new team. That player brings a totally, you can have 14 of the same players. You bring in one person, one rotational person, you have an entirely new team because that person's personality, hold up. His personality, the way that they play changes everything about what everybody else does. You know what I'm saying? So when you start things, that's why they have training camps, because you start to build the standards of your team, you build the habits of your team. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to change it midway.
So for him, right, because he had learned this lesson, because even when Fizdale left, right, you could see when Marcus Morris was here, he was giving the ball more to him. So he had to understand this, like, yo, listen, I am not that type of a player that, you know, people thought at signing, or I thought in myself, because even when we signed him, I just thought he was just to me a quality role player, like a quality role player, no better, no all-star, no type of infringement of all-star, none of that. I just think that he has capped as a player to what he can do and who he is as a player, because what this will be his 7th to 8th year. You see, with young players like Mitch and Knox,
I mean, you know,
they
whether or not he is, it's not about. We're not talking about if he's capped as a player, and we're not talking about if he's going to be a star or not. We're talking about how Tom Thibodeau might use him, right?
Yeah.
This is something totally different, right? Because Tom Thibodeau could use him in a way like any other player could use him in a way that maximizes his talents.
Yeah.
Which is what Tom Thibodeau says that he likes to try to do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I think with all of the players on the team, until you find out exactly what Tom Thibodeau wants to do, you know, you got to erase last season, really, because there was not a lot of, you know, like, you know, David Fizdale tried to run him at point forward. That was a huge mistake. You know what I'm saying? Because he's not, I mean, maybe he has the same type of body, the same type of size as LeBron James, but he doesn't have the same basketball IQ.
Hold on, Sim.
Hold up. He doesn't have the same basketball IQ as LeBron James, so you can't use him in that way. You know what I'm saying? Right?
Yeah,
so
Julius started to dribble.
Yeah, so it was like, you know, whatever David Fizdale thought he was, I don't know if he he overthought what he was trying to do. He was trying to be revolutionary or something. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But he overthought it instead of just saying, this guy's a bull down in the post. Let's just put him down in the post and let him bull his way to the basket. And if he can do some other things, then we'll, you know, expand out and do some other things here and there. But let's start with what we know that he can do.
All right. So my thing is, right, as a player, just as a human being, right? If you feel that the coach is using you in a certain way, right? This is just any play. Now, I feel like any player will have a conversation with their coach and say, yo, listen, this ain't working out for me. I don't think I should be carrying the ball up and down. For him not to have the
nah. I disagree with that, bro. I disagree with that. I disagree with that.
Sim, wait. Sim. So you're telling me,
that.
Wait. So you're telling me if a coach put me out there, right, and if I'm playing a certain way that I'm not conducive to, you think that player is not having a conversation with their coach and say use me differently?
Look. I mean, you might have a little. It depends on what you're doing. If it's bringing something like bringing up the ball, probably not. Everybody wants to bring up the ball, but hold up. But listen. But also, a player is gonna say, well, you know, give me half a season. Let me see if I can do it. We're impatient. You know what I'm saying? Right? Because we don't want to see it. You know what I'm saying? We don't want to see the mistakes. Like we want to, you know, we want the mistakes to happen someplace else. And then once they get on the floor, it'd be perfect. But basketball doesn't work that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so if you're going to try something, you try it, and then it doesn't work, you move on from it. You know what I'm saying?
He never moved on when it didn't work.
Even in the second half of the season, right? Even in the second half, this is just where brains just come down to it. Like, this is what I'm just brains. This dude would consistently, right? When we would tell him, yo, it's not meant for you to hold the ball when you get the ball all of the time.
We get that.
To get the ball.
But listen, we get that. We get that. What we're saying is Tom Thibodeau is a different coach with a different set of standards, right? And will hopefully hold guys accountable in a different way than David Fizdale. That's why, like, you got to kind of look at everything and say, okay, you know, this is who we have out here on the floor, and we'll see how Tom Thibodeau handles these guys, because David Fizdale was not the guy to hold people accountable. And when you start holding people accountable, magically you see different people and different players. Trust me.
On God, Sim, I think on God, at the beginning of the season, I think the best thing for the Knicks to do with this roster, right, is to have Randle come off the bench. Honestly, due to understand our floor spaces and shooting. This guy, when people say that Julius Randle, he's not a shooting big. He's just none of that. He's by the rim type of a player. And even so, he likes to double pump. He likes to double pump a lot. But I think it's best for him right now to make sure we don't have to come at him every night, because if he's starting at the 4 and he's doing the same thing over and over.
But see, I mean, honestly, yeah, go ahead, Light.
The things he would do, the things that we saw Julius Randle doing, was strictly because of what the coaches were allowing him to do, what the coaches were telling him his role on the team was. The reason why he was holding the ball and trying to wave people off and playing the 2-game game with Alfred was because in his mind, he was the star, right? It was Julius Randle in the New York Knicks in Julius Randle's mind, because that's the way everything was working out. When he was brought there as the highest paid guy, the only one to receive a multi-year deal. You see what I'm saying? In his mind, I'm the star. So if the crunch time hit, I don't care. I'm the star. I'm the $35 million man, whatever you want to call it. Let me do my thing, right? That's what we got last season.
Why did we sign him?
This year, it's not. But see, you can't. You got to let go of all of that, though, Mark. That's what Tim is trying to say. You got to let go of what happened last year.
He's like a rope that just bothers me, man. God.
But it's not, though. You got to forget about that, because at the end of the day, his skill set is going to be utilized differently this year. You see what I'm saying? The first time that he spins in the defense and gives up that ball, I guarantee you his head's going to blow clean off his shoulders, and he's going to pull that man out the game. He's not playing that. He's going to have to play with the parameters of the game.
Like, you giving me the light, but it still needs to be proven, because boy, oh boy, was that season just it really stunned a lot of these young players and what they could do off the ball if they get the ball, in time and stuff like that. And a lot of those possessions was just like, bro, it's not working. Teams are just doubling you because they know you're not going to pass the ball.
Listen, we seen this coming from David Fizdale in the first season without any kind of structure and any idea of what was happening. And so you could figure, right, if you figure you get a player that thought he was on the verge of taking it to the next level. Hold up, Mark. Taking it to the next level, right? That's what he thought. He was on the verge of going to the next level. He comes to this team.
Modest?
Oh, listen. He comes to this team. Was he being modest? I think but like Light said, I think it has to do with what they told him and what they were feeding him, because before he even, stepped on the floor, you heard David Fizdale and all them guys talking about, we think this guy could take it to the next level, become an all-star. He could do this, he could do that, blah, blah, blah. And as soon as he did his press conference, what'd he say? My goal is to be an all-star this year, right?
Yes.
At the team, at the
I ain't going for an
media day. At the media day, what he say? I'm taking my role as a leader and this and that and the other thing. Why? Because this is what was said to him. I can guarantee it. This is what they said beforehand.
I ain't gonna hold you when the fans said, he's a car salesman, he really sold him. Yeah. He sold him a 2020 Benz AMG kitted out.
But you know what? You say that, right? You say that, but if I'm
you Monday morning quarterbacking with that.
because if I'm in the league and I came off of a season averaging 19 and 10 or whatever, and I'm 20
standing next to a superstar.
And
with a superstar in the squad with you.
Hold up, Mark. Hold up. Let me finish. If I'm in the league and I average 19 points, 10 rebounds a game, right? I'm thinking to myself, and I'm 24 years old. 24 years old now. And I'm averaging 19 and 10. Guess what? I think, you know what? Maybe I can take it to the next level. So, he's supposed to think he can take it to the next level.
Especially in the vacuum. It was a vacuum. He would have been targeted.
Yeah, so like let's speak in context, right? So you're talking about a 24-year-old Randle that's coming off a 19-point season, right? And he's playing off the bench behind Anthony Davis, right? And
he was starting next to Anthony Davis.
Yeah. No, at first he was coming off the bench, then he started. You can go back and look, bro. But again, it's not like the dude had that type of a star role from when he came into the league, just how we trying to give RJ and say, yo, I can be this type of a player. He played behind so many players that was better than him that his role isn't as big as people think it is or it can be. He's more of a role player, and that's what he came into the league to become a role player.
Wait a minute. Hold up. No, man. Listen, I mean, he played with some. If I'm 20, if I'm 24 years old, right?
Yeah.
And I played with Kobe for a while, and I was second fiddle to Kobe.
But he was not second fiddle to Anthony Davis on that team.
You listen. He wasn't second fiddle to Anthony Davis?
Was Jrue Holiday on that team?
Okay, I mean, you had Jrue Holiday, but I mean, he still averaged.
No, he was.
Either way. If I come from that and I know that there were superstars above me, everybody got to take their chance to grow, right? And you might grow behind other stars. It happens like that. You know what I'm saying? It happens like that. That you grow behind other stars. Hold up, Mark. Yeah. Listen. And you grow behind other stars sometimes. You know what I'm saying? And then you get your chance to go into the limelight, which any player is going to think, okay, maybe this is my time. Right or wrong, a player is supposed to think that. If you are bringing in a player that does not think they can go to the next level, then there's no reason to bring that dude in.
But you see, but again, the Knicks had to salvage something. He was the only guy out there, so they salvaged with Julius Randle.
You know what? I disagree with that too, because they paid him $18 million a year, bro. They did not pay him like he was they did not pay him $30 million a year. They paid him $18 million a year. Like that is I mean, right now that is a decent price for him. People that is a decent price for him. $18 million a year, and you can get out of it next season if you want to.
In all honesty, right? Everybody know who they are at some point in life, right? Am I right or wrong?
So I think you know who you are at 20-some years old?
I would say this.
At 25 years old, you know who you are?
No, as a basketball player, it's different. Sometimes it's different. No. Sometimes it's different. No, sometimes it's different. Sometimes it's different. I look at the situation like this, right? If Julius Randle is this, this player that he thought he was, right? And you say like he could be the Kobe, the Shaq, he was nowhere close to that.
What?
Nowhere close to that, bro.
Never mind. You're not getting what anybody's saying, bro. You're not listening. You're not listening. You're not listening.
He didn't show you no increments of all-star type level. He was not an impactful player at all. What was necessary? He wasn't even close to Bradley Beal type of a level of a player, bro.
You're not listening, man. Go ahead, Andy. You talking from what you see, but that does not mean what he sees.
Well,
like if you was out there, bro, if you was out there, Mark, if you was in the NBA right now and you was averaging 19 points and 8 assists, you would say to yourself, yo, if I do a couple of these things here, I might go to the next level.
Yeah, and be the next Kevin Martin, right?
Yeah, but see, you gotta add that. What you gotta add to that scenario?
No star quality about him coming into the draft.
Not only were you playing well, but now you've been moved to a team that has no star.
Right.
You are the best player going to an empty squad. It's your turn to lead.
Was he the best player?
No, listen. Of course. What do you mean? When we signed him, you have to mentally go back. When we signed him, who was the best player on our team? You didn't want him, but who was the best player on our team when we signed him?
When we drafted RJ. Simple as that.
No.
For me.
When we signed Julius Randle.
For you, right.
Who was the best player on our team? You said RJ Barrett was the best player on our team when we signed Julius Randle?
Yes. And I'll tell you, there's people that take RJ before they even think about taking Julius Randle, and this is the fact. This is solely a fact. This is solely a fact.
Yeah, you straight up Monday morning quarterback.
Yeah, you are Monday morning quarterback, Mark. You got to realize that.
Yeah. Because you never even seen RJ in the league. I mean, you never even seen RJ in the league up to that point.
That makes no sense.
You never even played in the league up to that point.
Not a single second.
I knew he was going to be a solid NBA player, and I said that.
Oh,
And it's
you're not understanding what he's saying. You not understand.
Let Andy talk, yo.
Yeah,
Andy
go ahead,
been waiting
Andy.
so
Go
much.
ahead, Andy.
Get that man a hug.
Oh, hold up. Let me send you the.
I even said it when Julius Randle came, man. He's a bum.
As far as Randle goes, for me, it's the same situation we got Tim Hardaway in. We brought a guy to be maybe not the main. We brought Randle to be the main guy, but it wasn't his time yet. Because we did it, right? We signed him as the main player on this team, and he didn't pan out. It's easy as that. Some players, to be the main player, they need to be even older, more savvy, or stuff like that. That's why you need that kind of guy like KP had Melo, right? He had that main guy. He was the second guy, and he learned from him. And I think it's too early for Randle to be the main guy, at least for now. And even if, like we were speaking a couple of times now, Randle could be the main guy if he had a vet point guard to listen to and stuff like that. You're not gonna get Randle. If you're giving Julius Randle at 24 years old the keys to your team, it's not gonna work. It's not gonna happen. No matter who he played with in previous years, no matter, he could play with Jordan, Kobe on one team, and he wouldn't be the main guy on.
Yeah, he just, I mean, listen, the Knicks had the right idea. I mean, when you talk about Tim Hardaway, what did they try to do? They tried to catch a guy that they thought was on the upswing.
Oh, God.
See, Mike, you don't listen. You don't listen. You
just mute Mark for like 5 minutes so we can just get some of this stuff out, and maybe he can calm down. It's all love, but Mark needs to just relax for a minute. We don't want you to blow up today, Mark. It's an easy Sunday. Yo, today's my anniversary. I've been married for a long time. We gotta keep it on the up.
No doubt. Congrats, man.
Keep it light, Mark. Thank you. I appreciate
congratulations, man. Congratulations.
Thanks, because listen.
No. Hold up, Mark. This is what I'm saying. They thought that they were catching a player on an upswing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He was doing whatever he was doing in Atlanta. He was a free agent. They said, oh, this guy just may bud into this or that. So let's try to catch him before he buds into this or that. And he's worth $35 million now. It's what they was trying to do with Julius Randle. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
That was a risky move, but if he would pan out, we would look, like the GM of the year, right?
Genius.
Right. Exactly.
You see, my thing is, all right. So it's like this. Perfect scenario. If I took, see, with Tim Hardaway, for you to even think that he was that type of a player, like on the upswing, he was coming off the bench for Atlanta, bro. It's not like he was a star.
Mark, they took him to be the second guy to KP, right?
Yeah,
right.
But even in
Randle, yes, he was supposed to be a couple
Andy, you're right. But even in that case, he was never that. The second guy, when you talk about a second guy to an all-star type level player, I'm thinking like John Wall to Bradley Beal. I'm not talking about John Wall to some role player. I'm talking about, if you're talking about taking a guy like Tim Hardaway, at the time, he had to be on like Bradley Beal level, and then you say, yo, this is the guy. These are the two guys I can go with. When you're talking about paying Tim Hardaway, that was just asinine because no one was giving him, because Atlanta just threw him to the streets. So when a team throw you to the streets like that, you should have known that you should have never given. Sam, they
didn't match the contract.
Before, man.
No, they didn't match no contract.
I'm saying they didn't throw him to the streets. They didn't match the contract. They said, okay, we don't want to pay, but you got to understand something. When you're in a situation, especially then, right? Mm-hmm. Especially then, and the Knicks really didn't have a lot of room to maneuver with their salary cap, right? Mm-hmm. You got to say, we got to take a chance somewhere. Because let's just say, for example, the Knicks didn't get him, but Dallas did, and they had a better system, and they had a better structure to what they were doing. And then he went there and averaged 23 a game, 22, 23 a game. Let's just say it happened. Everyone would say, damn, how come we didn't take a shot?
Him, right?
No, because it's different. Because when you have, now see, in his scenario now, when you have two bona fide players, you can have a Tim Hardaway on your team.
I'm not talking about it now. What I'm saying is this. Yeah. Right? They took a chance on someone that they thought maybe could be on the upswing. It didn't work. Right? It's the same thing that they did with Julius Randle. Because you never know when someone's going to come out and have a season that they explode. You never know when it's going to happen, right? That's what they try to do with Julius Randle. He wasn't what they thought he could be, right?
I never thought he was that type of guy.
They have him on the team for at least they have him on the team for at least another season. $18 million a year. They can get out of it next season if they want to. Hold up. Right? They can get out of it if they want to. Now you got a coach in Tom Thibodeau that maybe is going to be better for him. It could go either way. It could be explosive. You know, if Julius Randle is hard-headed and is like, I don't like this guy throwing the F-bomb at me, then it could go that way. Or it could go where he's like, you know what? I respect this guy, so blah. And, of course, I believe, you know, if you're going to have him around, you got to have a point guard that he respects as well. You just got to wait and see. You know what I'm saying? But I think everything with Tom Thibodeau's got to start over new because he's different coach than David Fizdale. A way different coach, a better coach than David Fizdale, a more structured coach than David Fizdale. I think he's more disciplined, more experienced. I still wanted Kenny Atkinson, but I was not mad with Tom Thibodeau, right? And so the players are going to react differently to Tom Thibodeau than they did with David Fizdale. So I think everything's you got to start with a fresh cap.
Yeah, I'm most intrigued by seeing. I'm really anxious to see. I think I'm more pressed to see who the assistants are going to be than I am with Thibodeau. Thibodeau is like you said, so seasoned that we know what we're getting with Thibodeau.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that the assistants he's hiring fit what we're doing as a team, because the knock on Thibs is that he's going to favor vets and all that, which I'm not completely adverse to, because vets will get you a winning record and a possible playoff appearance. But
so
I want to see,
when you talk about, like, when people shot at the type of vets that Tom Thibodeau gets, he gets winning vets. We got trash vets. So
I mean, but he doesn't have, it's going to be a different animal. You know, we already know what it's like here in New York. And I don't think that if Thibs is basing his future on who he can bring here, I don't think that he should be thinking that way, because we've seen that no matter who we bring in, we have a hard time signing guys because we can't prove we have a winning culture. We can't prove that anything has changed in terms of the nuts and bolts of the organization. And that's the part that's keeping high-end free agents from wanting to come here. There's something in the water that we as fans don't see, aren't privy to. And those are the things that they have to convince people are changing. And as much as Thibodeau might be a step in that direction, and the new front office and all of that, it's going to have to appear on the court before we can expect them to sign any big-name free agents. And that's why I say it's hella important that the assistant coaches that we hire are the type that can really foster these young players and really get some. Because here's the thing, we were talking about how these middle of the pack players, we've been trying to kind of catch them right before they blow up. We are trying to find the Jimmy Butler, right? We're trying to find that guy who was brought into the league to just be a defensive anchor, journeyman role player who takes that turn. That's what we're looking for, because that's the kind of guy we're going to need to show the rest of the league, hey, the Knicks are different now. Look, we just grew this young guy into this. Don't you want to come here? We got the great coach. We got the young stud. That's what we're trying to do, and we're on the verge of that. But it comes down to us making sure we have assistants. That's why I really feel like Mike Miller needs to be brought back as an assistant, because of his familiarity with the team, the players, and his track record for development.
So let me. Go ahead, Lon.
No, you good. I'm done there. He needs to be.
So let me ask you a question.
Hey, Mark. Hey, hold up, Mark. 1 second. Let me get to a couple of super chats. Gregor Castillo said, going back, he's going back to the versus battle. He said, I defended you saying DMX won the versus battle, or at least saying was close, but Randle as a starter hurt my heart. And then again, Gregor Castillo, he said, Andy been looking at Castles too long, saying Randle was the answer. No, he never said. Hold on. He never said Randle was the answer. He never said that. Yo, you see how things can work in the media, bro? Right? They just take all he said. No. All Andy said was, he's not ready. He was not ready to be the leader of your team, at least not right now. Maybe if he had a mentor at another point. He never said that. He never ever said that. I don't know what Greg is talking about. See, that's how they do you in the media, though. That they do you in the media. Let me get to this
That's why you
phone
can't
call.
read the comments, man. You gotta let them fly.
Right.
I love that super chat. Get straight to it.
I'm gonna get to the phone call, and then after the phone call, I'm going over to exclusively Sportscaster after the phone call. And we're gonna talk about some
Make
vets.
sure y'all like and subscribe, man.
Without a doubt, we're gonna talk about some vets that Tom Thibodeau could bring in. So let me get to this phone call, then we'll go on for that. Caller, you live. What's popping?
Hey, man, I appreciate you, long-time Knicks fan, traveling the globe. But let me just give a shout out to Mark. He is feeling that pain all Knicks fans have had. We need that group hug, that cry, you know what I'm saying, suffer from Weatherspoon as our center. But really what I want to talk about is, do you think what Alan Hahn was talking about on the radio today about Chris Paul possibly coming here, will that help Randle's game? And he's only 25, he's a young stud, but having that leadership, you know, a coach on the floor mentality, will that up his level to his game, or have we seen the ceiling for him? Thank y'all for what y'all doing. I appreciate the conversation. It keeps me rooted to New York. That's all I got, fam. Later.
All right. Appreciate you, man. Yeah, I've said plenty of times that I think Chris Paul would be very good for Julius Randle if that were the case. You know, I think he's exactly the type of point guard that Julius Randle needs around him. You know, and if he's going to stay with the New York Knicks, he needs to have a point guard around him that he's going to respect. That, you know, that's my opinion there. Now, I was looking at, what was I looking at? I was looking at Ian Begley. I don't know. He did a little interview with somebody, and the guy said,
Leon Pope.
"Huh?
Leon Pope. Leon the Post. What's his name?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lowe. Zach Lowe.
That's what he was saying. He didn't know his name.
Yeah. Zach Lowe. right. Yeah, Zach Lowe. And Zach Lowe said, you know, if the Knicks think that the Knicks want to get Chris Paul, they're gonna have to give up, you know, a young, you know, like Mitchell Robinson or Randle in draft picks. I was like, that's crazy. You know, if that's the case, then, you know, no, I don't want him.
Damn, did he mention it in the context of younger star?
He said he was talking about if the Knicks were going to try to trade for an impact player, they were going to have to give up a young guy, right? And then he said if they think that they're going to trade, if they're going to try to get Chris Paul, you know, it's going to take blah 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 blah. He was like, and that's a 35-year-old former superstar. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That'd be crazy. I'm not with it.
Yeah,
but hey, let me switch over to Sportscaster. And I see some people like, no, don't switch over to Sportscaster. But hey, this is what I got to do sometimes, ladies and gentlemen. Please, we're gonna finish. Hold on.
And come over.
That's what I'm saying. Come on over and sign up. Come on over. Look, I put the link.
Y'all want to sign up for Tinder but can't sign up for support?
Oh, yeah. What you doing? Mark, let me finish what I'm saying, Mark. What are you talking about? Anyway, come on over to Sportscaster, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to finish the conversation here. We're going to talk about some vets that Tom Thibodeau might be interested in, you know, to do some of the things he said, like teach some of the young guys. I think, obviously, what's his name is going to be, Taj Gibson is going to, you know, be around. You know, that's one of his guys. You know, but anyway, join us over on Sportscaster, ladies and gentlemen. I'm putting the link in the chat right now. All right, and you know, join us there. We on Sportscaster. It's on Sportscaster right now, so you're not gonna miss a beat. So I just put it in the YouTube chat, and of course, it's in the description of this video, so you can join us there. Because in just a couple of seconds, ladies and gentlemen, I'm logging off of YouTube and heading over to Sportscaster. Now, this is only for Knicks Weekly, so you know, don't fret. It's only for Knicks Weekly. Be on the lookout, ladies and gentlemen, that all week I'll be doing some breakdowns on players and some film study on how Tom Thibodeau might use those guys. We're going to start with RJ Barrett, Mitchell Robinson. We'll look at Kevin Knox, Frank Ntilikina, Julius Randle, Dennis Smith Jr. And we're going to look at all of them. So make sure you check me out this week. Anyway, Anyway, BJ Boogie said the sportscaster stream consistently freezes. I don't know. Maybe that's just your phone, bro. I don't know what kind of phone you got. You know, you got to upgrade that flip phone because on mine, it works pretty good. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I'm up out of here, ladies. Well, I'm out of here on YouTube. Join us over on Sportscaster. And I'll see you guys over there, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, the link is in the description of this video. And it's also in the YouTube video chat. Out of here. All right.